Pink Swamp Rebellion Part 2 with Hey EROCK.
I'm just glad. I've been super fortunate that in my TikTok journey that I haven't had a lot of hate. It's been overwhelmingly positive. And I think a part of it is because I portray that positivity, so people kind of give it back to me. But even the other TikTok creators, will comment different things back at one another and support each other. One of the funniest things that I think happens is the people appoint you as an expert in certain things. So if somebody does a video on a crawfish ball, or if somebody does a video on a word, and I get tagged 1,000 times, hey EROCK, check this out.
Validate this.
Yeah, exactly.
This dude's talking trash about how to spell Coullion.
Yeah, exactly. I get that a lot, actually. Hey, this Coullion spells it with a Y. And I'm like, all right, au contraire, mon frere. It's okay. Like, settle down. Especially Stacy B. She put something one day, Coulyon, and that's kind of more like the slang version. And I have a story of why I went with the LLI version.
But are you from Luling?
Yeah, I'm from Luling.
Yeah, she's from down the bayou, babe. Like from south of the Anacostia is a whole nother world.
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't care about letters and numbers and all that stuff.
Exactly right. And I tell people,
shout out to Stacy B, not sponsored.
Yeah. So I put the LLI. So the reason I did that was when I realized that the Hey Coullion thing was taken off, and it was almost like this instant brand that people were associating me to. I figured, well, if I'm going to put this down somewhere, I need to figure out how I'm going to do it, because I can't just half-ass it and change it in midstream. And if I'm going to do merch, and if the person's asking for this, and if I'm putting it on a tag. So I went to, I might take my Cajun card from me for a minute, but I went to Google, and I was like, all right, I started looking up some Cajun things, like the different versions of Coullion, because I've seen it LLI, I've seen it ILL, and of course I've seen it with the Y.
Right.
But every time I see it with the Y, I had some buddies of mine way back in the day who was on a softball team, and they were the Couillons, and they spelled it with a Y. So I see that a lot. So my thought was I didn't want to do that because there's a lot of people doing it, and I don't really want to be the Coulyon just like everybody else,
and they get lost in the mix. Yeah, it is very eye catching, especially to other coon asses, because when you see it, I know the minute I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?"
From a business perspective, too, it was a smart move because, like you said, not every single person associates spelling it this way, so that means it's yours.
Yep,
and that's your brand, and that's the best way to approach it. What was the point that you started looking at Hey EROCK and Hey Coullion as a business rather than just a thing you were doing?
Well, the merch part was when I really started to think about maybe I might have something here. One day my son and his wife came over to the house, and he was telling me, he was like, "Dad, I've been watching your stuff," and he's like, I think you might have something here. Like, you may want to start paying attention to the things that you're doing and things that you're saying, because he watches a lot of YouTube, and that's his specialty. And he's like, there are a lot of people that brand themselves by certain sayings and stuff, and you've got that right now. So I started thinking, I'm like, damn, maybe he is right. So then all of a sudden I start having, I start saying Hey Coullion at the beginning of every one. So now it's an identity. It's the hat, it's the beard, and it's the Hey Coullion. So that's when I started looking at the spelling. And people were literally saying, hey, where can I get a Hey Coullion hat or a Hey Coullion shirt? I'm like, why in the world would somebody want a shirt? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about here. And then Tyler was like, no, Dad, I'm serious. Like, you need to look into this for real, because people are going to buy it. So my cousin is in graphic design and stuff too, and I got with him, and I was like, all right, I need to come up with a logo, a brand, or something that's going to be Hey Coullion. And this was the version that he came up with. He actually gave me about 5 or 6 different kinds, but this was the one I was like, when I saw that, I was like, bam, that's it. So did a little extra research, tried to figure out how am I going to do this, because I got a full-time job, a family. I coach 2 soccer teams. Like, I ain't got time to run around with merch.
Very time consuming.
Yeah, so I wound up finding a third party distributor kind of deal and set that up, and it's just letting it roll. So it's been a little blessing.
Absolutely. Those like Teespring or
Teespring. That's exactly who I use. Yeah,
they're great. I mean, you have no inventory. It's a print on demand service. It literally, you set it up, and whoever you funnel through to that, or your big fans want pieces of merch for you. That's the best way to do it now.
It's almost like passive income, because once I set it up and I set up all the little pieces, it's just a matter of me plugging my own stuff and wearing my merch in my videos, and people will ask different things. And it's funny when you can see a direct correlation. If I post a video wearing my merch and I'll get like 100,000 views or something, the very next day or 2 days later, I can check my Teespring and the sales will start to spike up. And then if I don't, it'll kind of come down and be a little even keel for a little bit. So it still blows my mind. Like somebody was following me, number one, commenting on my stuff and buying my merch.
Yep.
Craziness.
Now you're strategizing on a business platform where it's like, what shirt do I want to push on this particular video?
Yeah, it's true. Never thought that I was going to be thinking about some of the things that I've been thinking of, but
it's crazy, the shirts, especially when it comes to the culture that people buy, because on the Bayou here, we kind of have a little phenomenon going around right now. There's a guy, Chris Tardo, that owns the Real Outfitters Bait Shop, and he's got Shoe Pick Nation, dog. And he's got Shoe Pick all over these things, and it's crazy. He said the same thing. He's like, who would have thought that anybody would ever bought a damn shirt with a Shoe Pick on it? But it's people, man, I gotta get my Shoe Pick Nation shirt, man. It's like, dude, it's okay.
Man, I bought you one. Wait, it's coming. Don't worry.
Well, the funny thing about Shoe Pick, I'm gonna ask you this. I was a freshwater fisherman most of my life. My dad was a big bass fisherman, but we used to always catch a little garfish on some Shoe Pick. Just last week or the week before, we went bow fishing. We went bow fishing in Golden Meadow, and we could have swore we saw a Shoe Pick down in Golden Meadow. You haven't seen Shoe Pick out in Golden Meadow?
Sometimes they'll be in the brackish water. It's crazy. I've seen them in Dularge.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. Some big ones too.
Yeah, we didn't shoot him because it kind of passed a little quick. But he had that little round. You know, they got that little round tail. Yeah. I was like, man, that's got to be a Shoe Pick.
You eat that?
Okay, let me tell you a story about this.
All right, let's get into it.
So way back in the day when I was a kid, went fishing with my dad. We'd catch Shoe Pick every once in a while, but he'd throw them back because they some nasty trash fish. Well, one day we go into my papa's house and we go clean some fish, and we had a whole bunch of bass with some sac-a-lait, whatever else. I don't exactly remember, but he's telling my papa about it, and he said, yeah, and we caught a couple of Shoe Pick, but we threw that trash back. What you mean you threw that back, boy? You crazy? Next time you catch that Shoe Pick, you better bring that to me. So ever since then, my dad would catch them and he'd bring it to him because he'd make these little Shoe Pick patties.
Yeah.
Oh. Dude.
Little green onion in there.
Oh, my Lanta. I hadn't had one since I was a kid, but boy, them things used to be so good. He'd make that, and he'd make gar balls.
Yeah.
Ooh. The fried gar balls.
That's been a long-ass time since I had that. Damn.
So yes, I will eat Shoe Pick.
But
it's got to be done right, though.
Right.
I don't let a Shoe Pick in my boat, man. It's because they let off that slime and it stinks so freaking bad, and you can't get out the carpet.
Yep.
It's a vile ass fish. And for you, those of y'all listeners that are out of state or even in northern Louisiana who don't know what a Shoe Pick is, if you want to Google it, you're not gonna find probably Shoe Pick. You're gonna find bowfin, which is the same thing. It's just that's what they call it in Florida along the Gulf South. But it is an invasive species. But a lot of people do grind it up and make it into little patties and they fry it. And it's just kind of gross. But I will tell you this: I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones. And once you eat a bad one, it's kind of hard to ever want to eat a good one.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've only had them at my papa's house, so I don't know any other difference. So.
Yeah, I saw you like to redfish though, saltwater.
Definitely
down with that, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like a mooch. I don't have a boat anymore, you know, and I'm always relying on my friends to call me up and say, hey, we're gonna go catch some trout, we're gonna catch some redfish or whatever. So it's usually I'm kind of dependent on. Oh yeah, I ain't mad. So I got a bunch of buddies that do that. And matter of fact, one of my buddies, he come talk to me the other day. He's working on some new products. He's trying to get some new things and try to get that produced and trying to sell it. So he approached me about, hey, look, you know, I know you got that following. And I said, hey, look, I'm down with helping you. but it's gonna cost you. You're gonna have to take me fishing.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, we can do that."
Especially some speckled trout, man.
That's what it's about, man.
That's my favorite.
That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah, and one of my other buddies, Captain Lloyd, I just had him on the podcast not that long ago, so y'all can definitely go check that out. It was a very interesting one. But he fishes out of Dularge, and I've been fishing with him because I grew up with his brother. So I've been fishing with him for a long time, and so we're definitely going to try to make another trip down there and go fish with him because he's always smashing them and putting them on a table of death. So it's a good time.
I've fished with a lot of cats from down that way, but I met a guy about 5 years ago at my day job, Captain Billy Ellenwood. He's a transplant from Mosquito Lagoon in Florida, and this guy is one of the best push poling captains around.
Oh, he's
and,
push poling like on a little flatboat.
and we go out there to the islands and to the Barrier Islands and out in Timberlair Bay. When it's real shallow, and he put me on my biggest red to date a couple months ago, and it was phenomenal. That thing wore me out, dude. But when you could see him out there and all that glory, and they're like, "Hey, check it out!" The big blue tails out the water, over 30 pounds, and they're just chilling out there by the schools. It's your heart starts pumping fast, and from when I was a kid to now, that has always been something that was my passion. Was just the pride of living in Sportsman's Paradise, because you could fish a lot of places, but if you watch what's his name, Blair Wiggins on Addictive Fishing out of Florida, he comes and fish cocodrie and all that. He's got a big YouTube channel, but no matter where he fishes along the south and even up into the Carolinas, and he's fishing redfish, every now and again he'll get a big beefy one, and he'll say, "Oh, that's like one of them cocodrie reds," because it's so girthy and big. And it's weird because the fish here are different. The fishing here is crazy. I'm not a big hunter. I don't really hunt a whole lot, but I saw y'all went out bow fishing, and that's pretty awesome, man.
Oh man, to me that's the best, because I used to be a big hunter. I was a big duck hunter for a long time, but with me coaching soccer and all, they don't really work well together. You can only do one or the other. But when I had a chance to go bow fishing a long time ago in a little charter trip with a bunch of friends, and I absolutely fell in love, because it's a combination of hunting and fishing. So I mean, you can't go wrong. You're spotting the fish in the light, in the shallow water, and then you got a bow and arrow where you got a harpoon this big old thing.
And it looks so easy.
It is
and
not
it's
easy.
not, because when you get in that shallow of water, they're so sensitive. They feel every little vibration, every little thing. Especially redfish. Redfish are a lot smarter than you think, especially when you get in those shallow ponds. And then I saw you had those some good sized sheephead too. Yep. And if you watch a sheephead, man, it's crazy, because they'll get up on an oyster bed and they'll actually turn sideways and they'll rub back and forth because they have an itch. And I've been out there on the flats and just watched, a little school of them for a couple hours at a time. We just sit there, push poling through, and you see them all through there. And it's amazing because they have little minds of their own. And it's almost like they communicate with each other. And when you get out there and you do those kind of things, you can appreciate, the nature side of it. And then you get it home and you put it on the grill and you appreciate the culinary side of it.
And, when listening to Joe Rogan too, it just made me think about that. There's so many people that don't understand this culture, and they don't understand, killing animals. But, we appreciate the whole process. We appreciate all of Mother Nature. We are very lucky to have Sportsman's Paradise and have deer and squirrels and rabbits and ducks and redfish and speckled trout, so that whenever we do go out there and we harvest these fish or the animals, the first thing I'm thinking of is, hey, what y'all doing tonight? Y'all want to grill them tonight, or you want me to put them in the fridge? We're gonna do it tomorrow. And who's bringing the beer? What y'all want with the fish? And that's what we did. We went and we killed all those redfish, cleaned them all up. We left some on a half shell. We did a bunch of fillets, and then that next night, all my buddies came over and we ate the fish that we killed the night before. And there's just something special about it, where you put in the work and you went and got the fish. You take it home, cook it, eat it. You're having good times with your friends, having a few drinks, and it just couldn't be any more special.
And that's what Louisiana culture is all about. A lot of our culture has been showcased over the years through mainstream media, that New Orleans is everything. Bourbon Street, Cafe Du Monde, Jack's Brewery, all those things. Even Mardi Gras, right? and it reaches so much far beyond that. It is the get-togethers on a Friday night or the impromptu crawfish ball we had yesterday. Man, I feel like soaking a sack. You coming over, bro?
Yeah.
And just so you know, once again, hey, Couillons, soaking a sack is not a dirty thing. All right? It actually...
fair.
that is a term that we use loosely.
And now verified. Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's respect for the game, literally,
Yep.
Yep.
and both figuratively. But
And just so
That's
y'all
how it
know,
is.
that there's a lot of hate online for people that do fish. You may not have seen any of it yet, but I see a lot of people. I can't believe you're killing someone's mother or whatever, some crazy stuff, or you murdered that fish. And if you guys who don't fish or hunt think that we go out there and every redfish I see while that man's push poling on that boat, that I catch every single one, you're sadly mistaken. I do miss a bunch, okay? I catch a lot of fish, but I miss a lot. There's a lot that get away. And those big bull reds, too. That's something I have pictures online on our Instagram. I let that big boy go. And that, when I had him in my hands, man, and I felt the power of that big boy, and he finally kind of paddled off from me, my heart was so full, because my whole thought process the minute I hooked up on him was, oh shit, it's his ballpark, but it's my game. Mm-hmm. I'm in his ballpark, but I'm the one in control of this game. And even though it took me 45 minutes to get him in, at the end of the day, I fought him and he lost, but I let him go a separate way. Yeah. And that happens. We don't sit there and rape out an ecosystem to where we eat and we have that that thought process too. Like, we just go in there, we eat everything that's there, and no, man, I let a lot of fish go. I don't stay outside of my limits. I don't keep undersized stuff. And people that do that, I do kind of condemn them for it, because I feel like that is there's a lot of these people that are old school poachers, yep, and they're outside the law, these outlaws, and I don't believe in that stuff, man. I believe in staying within your legal rights and everything.
Definitely, like the whole conservation concept, like it has to be a good balance. And those rules, while some people might not like them very much, they're in place for a reason. And it's kind of twofold. Number one is there has to be a limit. There has to be a size limit, so that you can continue so your kids can go red fishing and catch fish. So that's number one. But on the other side of that, you have to harvest these fish and harvest these animals, because if not, then you have a problem. Like the whole Nutra thing, they offering $6 a tail. It used to be $5 a tail. Knock knew, he knows all about that one. But they're offering $6 a tail for a reason, because it's an invasive species. It's literally,
it shouldn't even be here.
They're destroying our coastland. Mm-hmm. And if you don't kill these animals, then guess what? You won't have a Louisiana anymore.
Most people don't realize that the nutras in the South are not native to Louisiana. They were brought here in 1984 during the World's Fair by the Chinese, and they were left here. And they were a gift to us, and we didn't realize that they could repopulate by the hundreds at a time in one single breed, and they took over. And a lot of our marsh issues with wetlands, coastal erosion, and a lot of our levees having holes in them is because of the nutria population eating up all the marsh grasses and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's not even a species. They relate that to us, like, man, they got those big swamp rats, and it's like, that's not from here.
So
China.
So if you have to keep catching the fish, you have to manage the fish, you have to, same thing with the animals, the deer. If you didn't kill all the deer, they would eventually kill themselves or die of crazy diseases, because if you've got a gazillion deer out there, they're all fighting for the same amount of food, then they're all going to starve to death, or they're going to get diseases, and they're going to get run over, all this stuff. So, like, we are literally doing the world a favor by hunting and harvesting these animals. But in the same sense, you have to have all those guides in place to where, look, you can't, they have to be at least this big.
Man, the vegan teacher on TikTok is going to hate you.
I'm glad she hadn't found my page.
Oh, she will after this show.
Yeah, probably so.
Let's spin this.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys.
Let's spin this on its head, and when does that happen to us?
That's right. So what's next for Hey EROCK and for Hey Coullion?
Well, I mean, like I was telling you before, I started my podcast at the beginning of the year, so that's been going swimmingly. I've been mostly just having a lot of fun. I didn't really start it up for like a money thing or anything. I used to do podcasts back in the day through CrossFit, and it was just kind of like an educational thing me and the owner of the CrossFit gym that I go to would do. So I decided, I was like, you know what? Now that I have this platform, why not start my podcast up again? So I did. And I've been having, it's kind of like an extension of my TikTok. I have some other South Louisiana guys on. I had the parish president on the other day. That one's going to be coming out this week. That was really fun. Not that it's a political podcast because I don't know shit about politics, but I love stories. I love to tell stories. I love people's stories, and I want other people to hear all of our stories. So that part's just been super fun for me. And then if by chance one day I make some money or it grows to something else, then that's going to be great. But I'm not really doing all of this I guess just to blow up or anything, but if it happens, it happens, and I'm just really embracing it and having fun. So the any money or anything that I make or some merch that I sell is just a bonus, and you know, from there, I don't know. It's
the love of it,
exactly,
and that's the most important part of it all. Do you see this as like kind of like an internet sensation, and do you fear it's going to fizzle out?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a reality because it happens to a lot of people. And, you know, we joked about I only have 245,000 or, 250,000 people, and maybe I'll get to 1 million. And I'm going to be honest, that's awesome. I would love to have 1 million people follow me or even more. That would be amazing. But, I'm not really doing it for that. If I only stayed where I'm at, and I know this is cliche, but it is the God's honest truth. If I stay where I'm at, and all these people, because I have a lot of people that are very interactive. They comment all the time. They send me DMs. They asking me questions on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And even when I'm out in public, sometimes I go into a restaurant and I hear, "Hey EROCK." I turn around, they got a dude with a Hey Coullion t-shirt on. Like, that just blows my mind.
That's some surreal shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just craziness. And so honestly, even if nothing ever changed and I was just still doing these little 30-second to a minute videos every day and people were still tuning in, I'm still going to keep doing it just because it doesn't really take much out of my day. I don't do a lot of editing to it. It takes me 30 seconds to a minute, and I post it, and that's it, man. I'm just having a good time, so.
Thanks again for listening to the Bank Swamp Rebellion. Tune in Wednesday for part 3 with Hey EROCK.